In this video, we'll see how to model a roof dormer with a window. And we'll see how to use the dormer opening tool to connect the dormer with the main roof space. A dormer is a structure that projects vertically from a sloping roof with its own roof construction and usually contains a window. They are commonly used to increase the usable space within an attic room, as the addition of a dormer extends the headroom beyond the existing roof, with the window allowing daylight into the attic. I have the exercise file roof dormer open. And zooming into the lower building here, we can see the area of the roof where the dormer will be created. As the dormer is constructed of walls and a roof that project up from the existing roof, it will be easier to create these in a plan view. So from the project browser, I'll open up the roof floor plan view. And looking at this view, it will be useful if we can see beyond the roof to the objects below in order to draw the walls accurately. So to be able to do this, we'll go to the view control bar and we'll change the shading mode from hidden line to be wireframe. Now zooming into the lower building where we need to create the dormer, we can see the objects beneath the roof, and we'll align the dormer walls to the mullions in the curtain wall here. To create the walls, we'll go to the Architecture ribbon tab, and from the Build panel, we'll choose the Wall tool. Now looking at the type selector, we can see that we have the generic wall 6-inch type selected. And looking at the options bar above, we can see that we have an unconnected height of 8 feet. The location line is set to be wall center line. And now looking at the draw tools on the ribbon, we have the line draw tool active. So we'll go into the model, and now we'll snap to the middle of the internal edge of this mullion here. And now we'll draw away and we'll type in the distance of 7'6" to create the length of this wall. I'll press escape to finish drawing this wall, and now we'll move down to 2 mullions below. And we'll snap to the middle at the back of this mullion again, and we'll draw along and line up with the wall that we've just created at 7'6" long. Now we don't need a wall at the back of the dormer, so I'll press escape once more. And now we'll draw a wall across the front, so snapping to the existing 2 walls that we've just created, we'll enclose those with this wall here. So now we've created the walls, we'll click Modify to finish the Wall tool. And looking at the curtain wall and the wall at the front here, we want the inside face of the wall to align with the curtain wall. So I'll go to the Modify ribbon tab, and from the Modify panel, we'll choose the Align tool. And I'll select the back face of the mullion on the curtain wall here as the reference, and now the back face of this wall to align to that reference. So that finishes creating the walls. Now we need to create the roof. So we'll go back to the Architecture ribbon tab, and from the Build panel, we'll choose the Roof by Footprint tool. Looking at the Sketch Roof Boundary ribbon tools here, we can see the Draw tool is set to Pick Walls. And we'll go down to the options bar, and across here we'll change the overhang to be 6 inches. And now we'll come and pick on the walls that we've just created, making sure that the sketch line goes to the outside of the wall here, so looking at the blue dashed line, and then click to create those sketch lines around each of the walls. So obviously we don't have a wall across the back here to pick, so we'll change the Draw tool to be Draw a Line. And now we'll just snap between the 2 sketch lines that we've already created, and that will create the enclosed boundary that we need. I'll choose Modify to finish creating the sketch lines. We can see that none of these lines currently define a slope, so using the Crossing Selection tool here, I'll hold the mouse button down and drag across the top and bottom sketch lines. And now go into the Properties palette, we'll check the option here to Define Roof Slope. And then a little bit further down we can see that the slope parameter is currently set to 30 degrees, so we'll change this to be 5 degrees. And now that's applied, we can see the roof slope icon on both of these lines. So that's the sketch finished. We'll go back up to the ribbon and click Finish Edit Mode. And now we're being asked about attaching the walls to the underside of the roof. So the walls that we've created for the dormer and we've used to base the sketch of the roof on can be attached to the underside of this roof. So we'll click Attach for that to happen. And now we'll swap back to the 3D view. And we can see now that we've got the dormer roof here, but it's too low and the walls are barely sticking out from the roof. So let's select the roof here, and going over to the properties palette, we can see we have the base offset from level parameter, which will change to be 2 foot 3 inches. Once this is applied, we can see the roof move up, and also the walls that we attached to the roof have followed with it. And looking at the bottom of the walls, they're actually sticking out from the roof now, and we need these to follow down the main roof slope. So we'll select these walls, so hovering over one here and then pressing the tab key to cycle through to the chain of walls, and then we'll click to select those. Now going up to the Modify Walls ribbon tab, we see we have the Attach Top Base tool, so we'll click on this, and now in the options bar we'll set the base of the walls to be attached. Now we just need to click the main roof, and those walls will be attached, and we can now see them following down the slope of the roof here as required for our dormer. Looking at the dormer roof here, we can see that this doesn't quite meet the main roof either, so we need to extend this back. So from the Modify ribbon tab on the Geometry panel here, we'll choose the Roof Joins tool. Now we just need to pick one of the back edges of the roof and then the face of the main roof, and now we can see that that's joined in and it's given us the junction that we need for the dormer here. So now we'll insert a window into the front wall just here. We'll go back to the Architecture ribbon tab. From the Build panel, we'll choose the Window tool. Looking at Type Selector, we can see we have the Window Casement Double 57 by 48 inch type selected. So we'll hover over the front of the dormer wall here. We can see the preview, so we'll click to place this into the wall, and then we'll choose Modify to finish placing the window. We can see it's slightly off center, so we need to align that to the middle of the window, and that will be easier if we go back to the roof floor plan view. And in this view, we can see that the window is not centered within the wall. So we'll go to the Modify ribbon tab, and from the Modify panel here, we'll click the Align tool. And we'll use the ridge line in the middle of the roof as the reference, and then we can select the reference plane in the middle of the window, and those two will now be aligned, and it's in the center of the wall as we want. So now we're ready to create the dormer opening within the existing roof. But first let's switch back to the 3D view, and we can see now we've got the dormer modelled on top of the main roof. I'll enable a 3D section so we can review this a bit better. So from the View cube we'll right click, and then from the Orient to View menu we'll choose the Section submenu and then choose the Dormer Section View. And this will enable the section box and rotate the view round to match that 2D section. If I zoom in here a little bit and then we'll orbit the view back round slightly, we can see the dormer construction sitting on the main roof, and with the main roof going through we can see why we need to create the dormer opening. It will be easier to create the dormer opening in the plan view, but also useful to see the 3D view at the same time. So I'll go to the View ribbon tab, and from the Windows panel I'll click the Tile Windows tool. And now we can see we have both views on the screen, so we just need to adjust these so that we can see the correct area for them both. Now, making sure the roof plan view is active, we'll go to the Architecture ribbon tab, and from the Openings panel we'll click the Dormer Opening tool. First we need to choose the roof to create the dormer opening in, so I'll click on the main roof here. And now we're in the Edit Sketch mode, and we have the Pick Roof Wall Edges tool active, so I'll select the inside edges of the 3 walls. And as we pick on these we can see the sketch line tracing along those walls. And now we've done the walls, we need to pick on the edges of the roof here to create the enclosed boundary, so we'll pick the 2 edges up the top here. So now we have all of the lines created. We can see that they extend beyond the corners here, and we need it to be an enclosed boundary, so I'll use the Trim Extend to Corner tool, and then we can work our way around the corners here, clicking on each line to create the enclosed boundary that we need. So now we have that done, we'll click the Finish Edit mode from the Edit Sketch ribbon, and we can see that that opening has been created in the roof and aligned with the walls in the dormer, as we can see here in the 3D view. So I'll close down the floor plan view so we have just the 3D view active now, and we can see that that roof has been cut, giving us the extra head height into the attic room here as we need. Looking at the window, we just need to move that up slightly, so I'll select the window And then from the properties palette, we'll change its sill height parameter to be 6 foot 4 inches. And now we can see we have that dormer created, giving us the extra space that we need in the attic room.